All right, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Joe, and I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit more of my testimony, but I've written out a little bit more details and I have it on my phone. I'm thinking about writing a book, so I'm going to read the first chapter to you guys. We're going to see how long it takes. I'm going to try not to touch my nose either. All right, this chapter's called, the book is called Pick up your mat and walk, Jolene. No, it's called Come on, Jolene, pick up your mat and walk. So, got to give you the back. Jolene was my name when I was doing drag. The one or two times that I've done drag, my character's name was Jolene, and she was trying to be. She was a friendly girl, but no one really wanted to talk to her much. Because she got drunk real easy, and she was easy, and she was just a mess. Her hair, she thought she looked like Pebbles Flintstone from when the kids grew up. So and she also, thought she named herself after the Dolly Parton song Jolene, because she thought she could steal your man. So anyway, I've adopted that again because sometimes, like, in my um in my life, in the last 10 years, whenever I was feeling unmotivated or discouraged, I might say to myself, Come on, Jolene, pick up your mat and walk. So that is what I'm thinking about the title of the book will be, which is weird because I'm using a drag name and I'm writing a Christian book. So, but I'm thinking it's gonna stick. So the first chapter is called The Day I Left Egypt. I didn't go to church to find God that day. I went because rehab made us go. A bus, a bunch of guys who had lost everything, a building I didn't choose, a pew I didn't want to sit in. I was still shaking, still tasting the last hit somewhere in the back of my throat, still hearing the voices of the men who took my money and called it love. Still seeing my father's face when the building manager called to tell him what his son had become. I was the scapegoat. I had always been the scapegoat, carrying sins that were never mine to carry. But I had added plenty of my own: theft, lies, meth, prostitution. 7 years of running amok in my own building, my own life, my own body. Oh, I wasn't the prostitute, but I was, I was HIV positive. I was broke. I was sober for 11 days, and I didn't know if I would make it to 12. The pastor opened his Bible, Leviticus 16, the Day of Atonement, poor. He talked about the scapegoat, the goat that carried the sins of the people into the wilderness, the goat that was led out, banished, never to return, the goat that took the curse so the people could live in the blessing. I knew that goat. I had been that goat my whole life. I had been the one carrying what no one else wanted to carry: my father's disappointment, my mother's worry, my building manager's surveillance, the neighbor's judgment, the police's contempt, the prostitute's indifference. I carried it all, and then I added my own sins to the pile: meth, theft, the money I stole from my parents to buy drugs, and men who pretended to love me. The shame of paying someone to lie next to me. The shame of being stolen from by the very people I paid. I carried it all, and I was tired, so tired. The kind of tired that sleeps 14 hours and wakes up still exhausted. That I didn't expect. He said the old covenant was based on the Day of Atonement, the scapegoat, the sacrifice, the sins carried away once a year. But the new covenant, the one Jesus made, was different. He said, Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad that Jesus had made that sacrifice for you and you're under the new covenant? I didn't know what to do with that. I was 11 days sober. I was HIV positive. I had stolen from my parents. I had paid men who stole from me. I was the embarrassment of my family, the cautionary tale of my building, the ghost in my own life. And this pastor was asking if I was glad. But he kept going. He said on Yom Kippur, God takes back his adulterous wife, the wife who chased other lovers, the wife who gave herself to men who paid her back with nothing, the wife who was supposed to be faithful but scattered herself to the wind. He said God takes her back, not because she deserves it, because God is faithful when she is not. I felt something crack in my chest. A stone. A stone I had been carrying so long I forgot it wasn't part of me. A heart of stone, hardened by rejection, hardened by HIV, hardened by meth, hardened by jail, hardened by the men who took my money and left, hardened by my father's silence, hardened by my mother's tears, hardened by my own choices. And I felt God reach into that crack, into that stone, and I heard him say, I will give you a new heart. I will put my spirit within you. I will remove your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. I didn't know the words then. I learned them later, Ezekiel, but I knew the feeling. That stone was breaking. Something was growing in its place. Something that I could feel. Something that could feel. Something that could hope. Something that could say yes to a question I had been running from my whole life. The pastor asked again, do you want to live in the promise or do you want to live in the curse? Do you want to live in the future or do you want to live in the past? And I answered, not out loud, but something in me answered. Something that had been waiting to answer since I was a boy chasing my father's approval, since I was young man hearing I was wrong for loving men, since I was a man standing in a hotel room paying for someone to pretend. I answered, yes, I want to live in the promise. I want to live in the future. I answered, aren't I glad? Yes, I am. And God said, their sins and lawless deeds I will remember no more. Not I will forgive them. Not I will overlook them. Not I will keep a file just in case. I will remember no more. My sins, the theft, the lies, the meth, the men, the shame, the years of running, the years of hiding, the years of being the scapegoat, he remembered them no more. I walked out of that church a different man. I was still HIV positive. I was still 11 days sober. I was still the son of a father who couldn't approve of me. I was still the man who had stolen from his parents and paid men who stole from him. But I was not in Egypt anymore. I had crossed over, not because I deserved it, because God took back his adulterous wife, because God gave me a new heart, because God remembers my sins no more. The laws were written on my heart that day, not laws of stone, laws of flesh, laws that said, you are mine, you are beloved, you are not the scapegoat anymore. I am 58 years old now. I am 5 years sober. I live in a house with a father who mocks my Metamucil and calls the police over salt. I was adding salt to the water softener, and he caught me one day. I've been doing it for he caught me and he said, you are not going to do that. He didn't know what I was doing. He didn't know what the machine was. He didn't know why I would be doing what I was doing. And I said, don't be ridiculous. And I poured the salt in. And so he kind of came towards me with his hands like this, and I pushed him away. And so he called the police. And, I was a little bit high that day. That was before, I got sober. But the police came and they didn't take me away, but I got a stern talking to. But they realized, that I was being useful for the house, and I guess that was one of the first times I really realized my dad's problem with dementia. He didn't even know what that machine was for. So I sleep 18 hours a day. It's really 10, but the AI helped me write this. I go to AA meetings and Bible studies. I just say I'm going to work because it's easier than explaining where I'm going. So yeah, if I'm leaving the house and they're like, they always want to know, oh, where are you going? Where are you going? I always want to know. And if it's a Bible study or an AA meeting, that's going to be more conversation. Oh, a Bible study? Where's the Bible study? Really? And my dad will be like, Bible study? You? He doesn't say that, but he acts like it. Or if it's an AA meeting, my dad's like confused. What is AA? You know? So I'm going to work. I'm going to work a lot. So it's just easier than explaining where I'm really going. And I'm living in the promise. I'm living in the future. I am the adulterous wife taken back. I am the scapegoat set free. I am the heart of stone replaced with a heart of flesh. Aren't you glad? Yes, even now, even here, even in the house with the 30 keys and the cat waste and the father who cringes at my Bible study. Yes, I am glad. The 30 keys. My dad insists on his key ring. It has every key he's ever had in his life. Um, Obvious key ring, gigantic key ring, all kinds of keys. So the problem is, I wouldn't really care, but the problem is, he can't distinguish which one is for what anymore, even the one that's for the house. So my poor mom, I got copies of the keys, so if I'm with him, we go right in. But if it's just her and him, he'll be looking for the key, looking for the key, looking for the key, and then he'll be like, "The key's not on this ring. I don't know what happened. Why we're locked out." Make it worse, we have a key for the top lock and a different key for the bottom lock. So he has to find two keys every time we come back into the house. It's like, oh, we're standing, because sometimes I used to not have the key and we're waiting. What is on? It was before I realized that it was already setting in. The dementia was already sitting in. And now my brother, thank God, has put a big. We try to reduce the number of keys, but they just all end up on that big same key ring. We should hide the big key ring, but we didn't try that yet. So, so yeah, my brother, went to Home Depot and got a big key that says Dodgers on it for the top lock and Tigers on it for the bottom, or two different baseball teams. So he knows now. Um, but he also has one that says home on it, and it's for the key up at the condo in Sacramento. It's for that house. So down here, that key, it does not compute because he forgot that he has a condo in Sacramento. And the other reason it's like, it's just, out of sight, out of mind. He can't make sense that key, it says home on it, but it's not the key that works in this lock, because it works in that lock. I'm telling him that. It's very difficult for him to understand. All right, so it gives me, that was the end of the chapter, but it gives me a little bit of encouragement here, and I kind of want to read that too. It says, what you just did. You wrote the chapter, the one that everything else hangs on, the before and the after. Egypt and the promised land. You wrote it in your voice, the voice you've been using this whole thread. I had been obviously giving background information before this popped up. Honest, unflinching, wounded, redeemed, the voice that can say, I was the scapegoat and remembered my sins no more. In the same paragraph, without irony or sentimentality. That is your voice. That is your book. You have the center. Now you write the chapters that go around it. Before HIV, meth, jail, the building manager, the prostitutes, the theft, your father's face when he found out. After Israel, Bible study, AA, the keys, the salt, the cat waste, the cringe, the peace. But the center holds the day you left Egypt, the day you got a new heart, the day you answered yes to the question that changed everything. Write the before chapters when you need remember where you came from. Write the after chapters when you need to remember where you're going. And always come back to the center. The last thing. You said it earlier. Lots of people got clean and sober. Why should I write a book? You just wrote the answer. Not everyone who got clean and sober was the scapegoat. Not everyone was the adulterous wife taken back. Not everyone walked into a church on the day they were reading Leviticus 16 and heard God say, I remember your sins no more. You did. That's why you write the book. Not because you're better than anyone else, because you're honest about what God did. And honestly is the rarest gift you can give. Now, what's next chapter? The building manager. That's going to be a long one. The jail cell, your father's face, Israel, the first time you went to Bible study and he cringed. You choose, but keep writing. You're not in Egypt anymore, and someone is still there, reading your words, wondering if there's a way out. You are the witness, right? And so the challenge is getting an app on my phone to um, print it out because now it's going to be pages and pages and pages, like a real book, um, and getting them in order because I get to enter it whenever I think of it, and so that helps because I could be thinking of something random and I'll still put it in, and so now I just got to get them in sequential order. So that's it. There's a lot more to say and a lot more chapters, so keep coming back. Thank you.